Today I'm going to show you how to make my raspberry cream cake. This cake is perfect if you don't like your cakes too dense or too sweet. First thing you want to do is turn your oven on to 150 degrees Celsius, and this is a fan oven. Then you're going to want to line an 8-inch cake tin, and to do that, what I like to do is folding method until you get a little triangle like this. Then you take a pair of scissors. Don't be too worried if it's a little too small, should still be fine, and then you just cut. It'll make a nice circle. Then we take a little bit of butter, put dabs on here, add some butter around the rim as well. Okay, put it to the side. First we want to add 115 grams of room temperature unsalted butter to a stand mixer. And with that we'll put 100 grams of caster sugar. I want to use this paddle attachment because it scrapes the bowl down nicely, and let that mix. You want to let this mix for a long time until the butter and sugar really gets frothy together. Okay, you can see now, if you come here, the difference in color. You have this more whiter and this more yellow. So we're gonna scrape everything up again. Mix everything together and then let it go for another minute or so until really everything is this nice and light color. Now that everything's nice and combined, we're gonna crack 2 eggs into here. Come on. And 2. Next I'm gonna add some vanilla bean paste. About a teaspoon or so. You can also use vanilla extract or vanilla sugar or whatever you want, but I like bean paste because I feel like it gives me the best vanilla flavor. And also a little splash of milk. Yeah, just like a little one. And we put that back under the mixer and just quickly combine it. It's gonna look a little bit lumpy like this, even more lumpy if the eggs weren't room temperature, but that's perfectly normal, and we're gonna fix that in the next step. In a separate bowl, I wanna mix 120 grams of self-raising flour with 1/8 of a teaspoon, so that's roughly 1/4 of baking powder, and also 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt in there. Give that a quick whisk. Then on the slowest setting, and we slowly add the flour, and we really just want to combine it. We don't want to over mix it. And as you can see, as the flour gets absorbed by the cake mixture, the lumps go away as well. And roughly here you want to stop it and just mix the rest by hand. Just lightly fold it in. Now we're gonna take a pre-lined baking pan. We're just gonna put the batter right inside there. And again, I like using the attachment because it conforms to the bowl shape. And level the top a bit. Okay, this is going into a preheated oven at 150 degrees Celsius for around 25 minutes, or until a toothpick comes out with just a couple crumbs on. Before you can ice this, you need to fully let it cool down. And if you want to accelerate that, you can pop it in the fridge. Now that the cake's cooled down, we can cut it into 3 even slices. And to do that, I'm gonna use this little cake wire. You could also just use a knife. Now we've divided this cake into 3 even slices. I'll just put these aside and we can work on the icing for now. I'm gonna take some frozen raspberries. You could use fresh for this, but it's kind of a waste of money. Just about a large handful. Quick little microwave. Okay. 30 seconds in the microwave. There we go. Now give that a little taste. Could be a bit sweeter. So take some icing sugar, add some to taste until it tastes sweet enough. That's better. Now we're gonna get our stand mixer out again. We put the raspberries right in there. The main component of this icing is just double cream. In some countries, double cream is called cream double and isn't as easily available as in the UK. Mainly the reason we want to use double cream is because it has a super high fat content, around 48 to 50%. If you cannot get double cream, mix 3 parts whipping cream with as high of a percentage as you can get with 1 part mascarpone cheese, and then add a cream stiffener. From Dr. Oetker, for example, they have like this thing called Sahnesteif. I don't know what it's called in different countries, but that's the alternative to double cream. And we're gonna use around 1 liter. So we'll just take our double cream and just go straight in here. And then we'll add a couple tablespoons of icing sugar. I'm just gonna start with 4 heaped ones and then we'll add more later to taste. I also like adding a bit of vanilla bean paste, just like a teaspoon. Then we can get to mixing. I recommend slowly mixing in the beginning so the icing sugar gets incorporated, and then we can speed it up. The only danger we have with this is over whipping, but apart from that, this is super easy. When it gets to this sort of still a bit soupy consistency, I like to just mix it through. And at this point, I taste for sweetness. Could be a little more sweeter. We'll add another 1, 2. If it's at this point where it's still moving a little, it's not stiff enough. So back in and just keep whipping. But again, you have to be careful to not over whip, because then this will separate into butter and buttermilk. Look at how fluffy of a consistency this is becoming. This is basically almost there. It feels really stiff as well when you put your finger through. Super light, nice and raspberry. Basically almost there. Just a tiny bit more and then we'll be good. Okay, look at that. That's how it comes off, very stiff. If yours doesn't get this stiff, you need to make sure that all components are chilled. The double cream is fresh out the fridge. The bowl I made sure is a little chilled, so you need to make sure that everything's cold. Now we're ready to assemble the cake. I got a turntable here, but you can definitely do that without one. I just put this little rubber mat on, and I got a cake base. I get a little bit of icing. I'll just spread it right in the middle here. It's just so the cake sticks down and doesn't move around. And then place that right here in the middle. Then what I do is I take a bit of the whipped cream icing and just smear it right on. I'm just doing a thin layer just to cover the base and give our raspberries something to stick onto. Now, I got these raspberries that I just washed. I'm just gonna neatly arrange them, push them in a little, all the way around. The great thing about this cake is because the icing is basically just double cream and fruit, it makes it super light. Not like a lot of cakes have buttercream icing, which gets really heavy, and this one just super light on the tongue, so you can eat lots of it. The only disadvantage with this kind of cake is because it's a cream-based icing, you do want to keep it cold. It does survive out in the open, but on a hot day, not too sure how long it would live. Okay, and the last one right in the center. Now we got all these gaps here. I take the piping bag and I just fill all these voids. Okay, after filling in all the voids, I like to take a little spatula of it and just spread it on the top. Just make everything a little bit even. Then we take our next cake base, put that right on top. And then we repeat the previous steps. Thin little layer of cream, and then we arrange more raspberries. And now we can add the last layer of cake. There we go. The next part is totally optional. You could leave it like this. It's a little ugly. What you can do is just take your spatula and just run it around. Just smooth out the sides a bit. Just like that. You could just leave it like this, with a powdered sugar on top or something. But I like to cover the whole thing in another layer. I just go around and pipe onto the sides a bit. Not too thick, just so everything's covered. Spread that around nicely. If it's getting a little squishy and a little warm, I recommend just popping that cake in the fridge for a couple minutes. And then we get back to it. And then we can smooth it out some more. After a couple minutes in the fridge, should have firmed up a bit more. And then we just go smooth out the top. Just fill in all the bits that you see, like this. Colder the cake is, the easier it is to get nice clean edges. When you get it to this sort of point, add a little bit of decor. And then we got these toasted almond flakes. I'm just gonna sprinkle them onto the side. Then we take them up, and wherever I didn't get any, we try and press a couple in. And then last finishing touches, just pipe a couple swirls on top. And then we have a couple of raspberries left over from the pack, so I'm just gonna dot a couple around. And there we go. That is our finished cake. Cake's turned out beautiful once again. Super light, super airy, delicious, and so raspberry. Thanks for watching, and let me know if you try to make this cake too. Bye.